Get ready, guys, because this conversation will shift how you think about leadership, purpose, and unlocking your unique superpower. Without further ado, I will bring in my guest. Hey, Randall, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. This is an honor, and I'm very humbled to be a part of this. And I believe that, one of the things I always say is it's a seven-letter phrase, which is the key to success. And that is hang out with people that help you. And so, with that phrase, that seven-word phrase, hanging out with people that help you, and in this case, I feel like I am being helped by being a part of, being here. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you are highly welcome. I think this is the first time I'm gonna be having an ordained pastor on my show, so it's
Ah,
an honor
okay.
to have you join us, Randall. Now you tell people, or you have a framework, discover, develop, and display. What does that mean, Randall? What should we know about that?
Well, it is the framework and a methodology that, number one, the simplicity of it really allows for people to, whatever their circumstances, to recall that simple method and that path. Discover, develop, display. First, the discover part is there is a masterpiece. If we want to, add a little bit of the scripture here, there is a masterpiece in everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone is walking around with that masterpiece. But, it's such a shame because I run across so many people, which actually keeps me busy as, not only a pastor, but an author and an executive coach. People have not discovered or fully discovered what is the masterpiece in them. So the first part of this methodology, discover, is really to pause a lot of people do life, but and they're so busy doing life that they rarely really pause to reflect what is the greatest value that I can bring. So the discover part is really assessing, and we do that through psychometric assessments. I can do that through asking in stakeholder interviews, which is essentially ask again, hang out with the people that help you, ask the people that are around you who you are. And you get a good idea and an understanding of all of these things. And so that's the discover part. It's really assessing number one, what's in you, what's around you, who's around you. And then once you discover that, that is that gives you the open door. It's kind of the key to unlock the door. And then you can walk in the door of developing it. It's really creating a plan or a cadence through discipline and commitment. So the develop part is you've got to develop something. Once you've discovered it, you can't just sit on it because whatever doesn't you don't feed dies. So
Yeah.
growth has to come in the develop part. You develop a consistent plan to make sure that you master what it is that you've discovered. And then the final part, and this is the beauty and the privilege of being an evangelist, is you display it. You show, you show what you are, you show who you are, you show your value. And that comes in so many different aspects of life. It can be on the job, in your career. And once you show your value, watch to see what happens in terms of how your career is elevated. It can be in your household as a parent, as a sibling, as a child, as whatever that dynamic might be in the household. You can also display it in the community. Once you show your value and develop a plan for your value, you show up different in all of these circumstances. So that's discover, develop, display.
Okay, I like that. And I think it's quite straightforward. Even though I said it's straightforward, I know that too many people struggle with this.
Yeah.
And I want to start from the beginning. Discover. You told us that we need to pause and try to find out what we are good at. That's just me paraphrasing.
Sure.
Uh, Now, in terms of that pausing, are there some strategic steps that people need to take? And what I mean by that is, let's say, as I'm interviewing you now, I'm good at asking questions. Let's assume so. But there are other profitable skills that I have. I'm a product manager at my company, for example.
Mm-hmm.
How do I go find out the superpower that I need to shine so that I can rise to the role, to use your book here?
Yeah, so let's break down as an acrostic pause. And
Yes.
so I use this and I share with people there is actually here's how you develop in what I call the inevitable outcome in the pause. Pause, P, actually pause, which means slow down, take some time, reflect. That's the P in pause, is when things are presented to you, a way of responding versus reacting, and there's a difference, is response comes from a very thoughtful, a very thoughtful, intentional action to what is in front of you. And the P is slowing down to really pause in that scenario, in that situation. The A in pause is to analyze, take in what is being presented, take in the circumstance, take in the context at which it's being delivered to you. So the P is the pause, the A is to analyze. The U, once you do that, understand. Realize that there's an understanding because there's always, as they always say, two sides or three sides really to every story. The understanding part really, and again, this is part of the discover and discover, develop, display. It's understanding why. It's understanding how. It's understanding and really doing, I would say, which takes us to the P, the A, analyze, the U, understanding, synthesize, which means take the data, take the information, take the inferences that were presented, synthesize that down into something that, again, the response versus the reaction, whereas it comes out as thoughtful. When you synthesize, you don't have to create something that is just through emotion, but through a level understanding. That's the S, is synthesize. And then the E, finally, you engage. And the engagement part means you engage. Because having the P, the A, the U, the S
Mhm.
gives you the permission to then engage so that you can pause and really create a thoughtful and intentional response.
Okay. No, that's good. And thank you very much for breaking it down for us.
Sure.
You've talked about internal dragons, and I know
Yeah.
too many people being held back today, holding on to jobs they don't like, living on
Yes.
below their full potential. So, what are some internal dragons that you often see holding people back?
Yeah, let's start with the one that is, it's widely thought in certain roles that I work with and individuals that I work with, which is it's identity crisis. It's really not understanding the full value, or said differently, imposter syndrome. And let me break both of those down. So the first identity crisis is a lot of people ascribe their job to their activity, where I would suggest that look at your career, not a job, because a job is actually the act of you doing. Your career is an opportunity for you to show your value with what you're doing. And there's a difference. So in terms of identity crisis, a lot of people they put their identity into their activity of what they do every day. And I challenge people. I say, well, what do you do? And they tell me their title. I said, no, but what do you do? And because here's what I'm really digging for. I don't want to know. what people have said your title is. I want to know what you do. And then sometimes, most of the times, people tell me, well, I do this, and they put an activity on it.
Right.
What is your identity? What value do you bring in that? Where is that you're walking into a place or a space, or you're there and it's better than what you left it? That's different from what you do. So that's identity crisis. The second one, imposter syndrome, is people get elevated and promoted and don't feel like they belong. There's a quote by Maya Angelou that says, and recently Oprah Winfrey on a podcast, TD Jakes' podcast, she used this analogy. She said, when we walk into the room, as for identity crisis, when we walk into the room, a lot of folks feel like they're walking in alone or they don't deserve to be there. And Maya Angelou's quote was, "You're not walking in as one, but 10,000," which means there are so many people in and around that have worked, sweated, bled, died so that you could stand in that place and space. And I'm not only talking about just culturally, I'm talking about across the board. I'm talking about gender differences. I'm talking about what has been put there so that you can be there. So as far as having what we call imposter syndrome, like I don't belong, I always tell people you belong because others have worked to put you there.
I like that. So, your book,
Yeah.
Rise to the Role, can you share some takeaway with us from your book?
Yeah, so let me just take these last two because you asked me about dragons, and we described so many different dragons that I say we can name them, claim them, and then tame them. And so I think a takeaway is that let's say dragons are circumstances in life. Let's say dragons are an employer who is trying to, control everything that you are as a career person.
Mhm.
Bringing it to a relevant conversation, let's say a dragon is a boss that is a micromanager that is hovering. Name it, claim it, and then tame it. The naming part is discovering that there is a reason why this is being done. Claim it is it's not being done. Claiming it is claiming a mindset that it's not being done to you, but it's being done for you, so that even as hard things happen, and I say this in the book, do hard things until the hard things become easier for you.
Okay.
So that's naming your dragon,
Okay.
claiming your dragon. Then taming your dragon is realize and understand that whatever circumstance, whatever quote unquote dragon is in front of you, you have a superpower, a unique gifting that no one has. And I go back to where we started as far as the masterpiece that's in each and every one of us. If you tame the dragon, you can tame the dragon by simply saying that whatever you put in front of me, I know that my value creates a better opportunity. If it's not for you and you don't appreciate it, well, this is a circumstance where my value is not being appreciated. And then I say, you got to go somewhere where it is in order for it to flourish.
I like that because I was thinking about how are we going to overcome those dragons, and I think you just answered that question. To me, name it, claim it, and tame it will
Yes.
be a strategy to overcome those dragons. Those are internal dragons that prevent us from rising to the top. Now, I want to ask you, what role has your faith played in what you do today, Randall?
Everything. It's the core of what I do. It's the core of who I am. I have this saying about who I am, and that is I'm not perfect. However, I strive to thrive through scriptures. They are alive and they keep me every day in spirit. This is why I get up and pray. and this is how I rise. So it's the foundation of my faith that has created the core of Inspirit. So here's a little inside information. Inspirit is a core word of inspire. Inspire is what I want to do. It's my gifting, it's my superpower. RIT are my initials. So I put inspire and RIT and I come up with Inspirit.
Oh, I love that. That's
That's
cool.
the first part. The second part is, and back to, the reader, the listener, the spirit is where the superpower resides. It's in your spirit. And so my mission is if I can help to inspire everyone's spirit so that it rises up, then my mission is done. And so that's what I do in my coaching with executives. And I don't only coach executives. I have two daughters, they're in their 20s. So I coach them, their friends. I've been married for 30 years to my wife, and I have a coach. And so, it's all around the foundation of faith. And again, I talked about that as far as every day I strive to thrive through scriptures because they are alive.
Absolutely. I agree with that. You share the idea of promoting, you call it elevating in place. What does that look like practically?
Yeah, despite your circumstance, as far as elevating in place is despite your circumstance, you have an upward trajectory that you personally can control. Take control of it. And again, that's the name, claim, and tame the dragon. It is take control, whatever or however big that dragon, that giant is, you can elevate in place. So let's say, because I work with a large retailer and they have employees on the floor or the back office or stock room or even cash. And so elevating in place is showing your value right where you are. You don't have to have a big title and a big name. You don't have to, you can be, I've run across so many Uber drivers and I'm always curious. That's what I also call elevating in place. Be curious about not only what people are doing, but who they are and what they can do to add to your portfolio. So if I'm ever in a new city on tour or whatever, I'm very curious in asking people if I catch a Lyft or an Uber or whatever rideshare taxi, what is it that they do? And I'm always listening for how they can give me something, a nugget, a piece of information. And most of the times they do. Any information, in my opinion, that person has elevated in place. They not only gave me a ride or, checked me out on the floor of a retail store, they gave me information that helps me. I go back to the 7 words: hang around people that help you out.
Okay.
That's elevating in place, whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Now, we have the right ways of doing things, and of course, there's the wrong way, or I'll call it mistakes that people make when
Yes.
try to achieve a goal. So I want to hear from you, Randall. What are some mistakes that you've seen people make when they try to rise to that executive level position?
Yeah. So let me start with myself because I am the product of many failures, but I fail forward. I don't lose, I learn. And so the mistakes that I make, and that's why I really created this discipline process. I say processes cover problems. And so in doing that, that's why I discover, develop, display. Oftentimes, we often skip over when we discover something that may be good. We discover it without pausing. So without really analyzing, understanding, synthesizing before we engage. So we skip ahead too soon. So we discover it, then we skip straight to display it. without the due process of developing so that you can get the experience, so that you can learn, so that you learn what your no should be before you say yes. So it's coming in prematurely without the experience, without having a full level of what that opportunity is. So I think that's a big part of the mistakes for many people. They go from discover to display, and they don't take the time to develop through that committed effort to get the experience.
So now, what advice do you give to leaders when they are trying to navigate major career pivots?
Well, I do this every day because my portfolio of clients that I work with, the advice that I give to leaders who are looking to, let's say, transform their careers, take a different trajectory or level in their careers is, are you doing what you're made to do? The difference between, because most, if not all, are talented. And talent can get you into a high level, high paying position. But is it that your talent that's driving you, or is it that your purpose and passion are driving you? It's a very simple yet very powerful question that actually gives a lot of the executives pause. I come across, and I've worked with medical clinical doctors quite often, and they are really talented because of their study and all of that at being a medical doctor. I often run across many of them that, unbeknownst to most people, they have a passion for art. They have a passion for, music. And these are real life case studies. But they are in this, I call it the performance treadmill, where they're doing their occupancy or job because it's what they're talented at versus where their purpose and passion lies. And so I really encourage them, you don't have to stop doing what you're doing, but create what I call a portfolio career where you give time to both and, so that eventually, when that time is right, that portfolio of that small investment in your passion and purpose might grow to a larger investment. And then once it becomes larger than the job you're doing, then you have to evaluate,
Yeah.
is it time for me to jump full in to where my passion and purpose are?
Okay, I like the way you brought everything back together. When you started and you mentioned purpose, I was gonna, oh, how can we discover our purpose? Because quite a number of people struggle with this
Oh, yeah.
very important question. And I like what you talked about in terms of our job and as well as the passion and how it's important to grow the passion. And maybe in future you can evaluate if it can actually now replace the job. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now you are on the Career Evangelist podcast. Obviously, many of my listeners, they want to hear from you in terms of what does career mean to you, Randall?
Career means it is something that you leave of value that gives not only satisfaction to you, and satisfaction is another level of being happy. It gives satisfaction to you, and it leaves a deposit. And again, we're talking about career. For you, it's a satisfaction. For others, it leaves a sense of accomplishment, and that you have given them something that improves whatever situation they're in, whether it's a career where you're serving people, where you're teaching others, where you're providing services. If it creates value for others in what you're doing, in satisfaction for you, That's the legacy. And here's the word I use when I say career, the legacy that you can leave as it relates to your career.
Thank you. You are big on purpose, legacy, and impact.
Yeah.
So we want to hear, just to get to know a little bit more about you. Why did you leave your corporate success to help others discover their superpower? Why was that important to you, Randall?
Yeah, I was teaching it. I was coaching executives in it. I was preaching it from the pulpit. But I had to do a self-assessment on me and my life and what it was over the 35 years in corporate that I said, am I leaving a legacy, number one, for my career? Am I satisfied in what I was doing? And am I creating an opportunity that is like purpose driven and not financial? And so I did that self assessment on myself, and I concluded that I was doing a lot of what I currently am doing as an independent owner and operator of this, but I wasn't doing it full on. The challenge that I asked myself is, am I fully committed? What would my life be if at the end of it, I look back and I saw that I left some things on the table? And so, what I did in creating Inspirit is I take all of the corporate training, I take all of my corporate experience, I do all of that corporate engagement, and I take all of my gifting as a pastor, as a preacher, as a consultant, as a minister, as a former fitness trainer, because I did that back in, a couple of decades ago. Now, what I do is it's holistic. I look at the total person. I look at, as my career continues to advance, I look at bringing all of what I am to the forefront so that there's nothing that's kept in the bag, as you would say. In my corporate life, I had to keep a lot of those things there because it was a corporate experience and I was representing an organization. Now I represent my purpose, my passion, and that's Inspirit Institute.
Finally, Randall, what is one action that listeners can start taking today so that they can move closer to what you call the inevitable outcomes?
Create the start with the end in mind. Know that there are inevitable outcomes for you.
Okay.
Also, create a foundation through pausing, discover that superpower in you, develop a plan, and then watch what happens through that. And through the development of the plan, get resources. Inspirit Institute, inspiritinstitute.com. That those are resources. But I would or read the book Rise to the Role, risetotheroll.com. It's on Amazon. But I would say really discover that there is something that is uniquely. I just actually literally today, I texted a 27-year-old who is a early careerist. And I said the same thing that I'm saying right now. You are uniquely gifted with something that is a superpower that no one has. You just have to understand it's there, discover it, develop your plan around it, and then watch what happens in the display.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Sure. Thank you.
Guys, you can get Randall's book, Rise to the Role, on Amazon. Can you tell us where can my listeners find you so that they can connect with you and continue this journey with you?
Yes, it's simple. Inspirit, IN Spirit institute.com. Inspiritinstitute.com. You can get a hold of me. It's my contact information, booking information. You get access actually to the book from there. So that's a one-stop shop.
And they can follow you on LinkedIn as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you can follow me on LinkedIn at Randall, Randall, Randall Thames, like the Thames River, Thames, Randall Thames. So follow me on LinkedIn. Again, and you'll see that I create the holistic approach. You never know what you're going to get what I post on LinkedIn. So you can there, and then social media, Inspirit Institute, Facebook, X, Twitter, Inspirit Institute. You can reach me on those channels as well.
All right. It's been nice having you on the show. I enjoyed this episode and I am inspired. Thank you for your time, Randall.
Thank you.